The Big East had 4 games today. Admittedly, coming into the day, this was about Marquette and Xavier holding serve because they're tied for first. They both win. Creighton plays Villanova to a thrilling game that went down to the wire. The shot clock goes off in Omaha. So you got the PA announcer announcing the shot clock down the stretch. It was kind of crazy. Creighton wins 66-61. They stay on track in the race. UConn beats Georgetown 68-62. So Marquette, Xavier take care of business. Creighton and Villanova was wild. Laval, which one of these teams to you do you want to focus on here? Just give me a thought on it on any of them. You got a blank canvas.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Xavier, because Fremantle's out.
Yes.
So the last 2 games, the Providence win. And it's typically not the first game a guy's out, because you have the adrenaline, the other guys, the rally, right, to step up. So that one you're not surprised by as much as, all right, the next game, as teams get to scout you without, whoever the guy is out with that is not playing. Now it's Fremantle. So that first game, guys step up and they rally, whatever. But now there's a scouting report for the new look Xavier, and they, just gave it to St. John's. Now I know St. John's presses and traps and all, but I just think, their ability to get Desmond Claude came in, made shots. He's going to get more minutes. He's going to get more confidence down the stretch. And as Fremantle gets his way back in there, Jerome Hunter's played a pivotal role as the 6th man, and he's just gaining more confidence, for those times when somebody's in foul trouble. You get to the Big East tournament, you get to the NCAA tournament. That is the momentum that they're getting. Without him, I think, those 2 back-to-back impressive wins without one of their key players.
Real quick, I love that our chat is just absolutely celebrating the fact that we're talking about the Big East right now.
They have been asking about the Big East since we literally started.
They're going absolutely nuts.
We've been going for an hour and a half, and literally 1 minute in, they're asking about the Big East.
Laval knows because he coached in the league. You cannot deny the passion of Big East basketball fans.
Yes.
No, it's every night. Every
night. I want to ask you guys a question, because we'll get to Villanova in a second, because I think the conversation about them, that Villanova is much more interesting than Creighton in terms of the conversation right now after that game.
Yeah.
But I want to pose something to you guys.
Uh-huh.
I would make the argument right now, if I were giving somebody Big East Player of the Year.
Yeah.
This might sound crazy. I think I have to give it to Tyler Kolek. I think as of today, he is the Big East Player of the Year, because to me, he's the engine that makes Marquette's offense run, and what Marquette can do offensively is the reason why this team went from being like, okay, you know what, they're kind of 9th in the Big East, to all of a sudden, they have a chance to win the Big East. I don't think it works without him there, without his passing, and 2, his improvement as a jump shooter. And
can't you say the same thing for Sule Boom, though? In terms of it doesn't work without him there.
You could, and look, I love Sule, so you're just kind of like you're picking between your favorite flavor of ice cream, but I think that if Sule doesn't have a good game, right? If he's off, you still got Colby Jones there. You still got other guys that can kind of make that stuff work. And Sule, to me, is kind of like, he's still more of a scorer first than he is setting anything else up. And I think that it's more that when you have, like with what Tyler Kolek is doing, you need him to be able to create shots for other people, because you don't necessarily have a ton of other guys that can go get their own or create their own. You kind of need him to do what he's doing to be able to make everything work in conjunction. And it's not just the stuff in the half court, right? It's like the hit ahead passes in transition. Like, that dude's thinking the game on a different level.
It's elite now. It is elite. And you saw it last year, and now he's got a year in the Big East. His confidence is it's not a bad argument, because you take him out, it's a different ball club.
And I don't think he's the best player, but I think based off of the season that he's had and what his team is doing, like He would be in the MVP conversation, however you want to phrase it. He's a stud, man. He is a stud.
Yeah.
When I talked with Shaka in the offseason, Shaka like was hyping him up to me, and I was like, yeah, settle down, Shaka. Like, okay, I get it. Yeah, you like your point guard, and okay, this is the offseason coach speak. And I didn't really buy it. And now anything that Shaka says to me in the offseason, I'm gonna I'm taking it as gospel.
Well, I think
this game's tied, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I'm watching it.
Great game. Gonzaga St. Mary's going down the stretch.
Woo!
Brief thought on
might as well just react to this bad boy live.
Yeah, let's get through the Big East and then we can react to it live. Then we can let Laval go to bed. Laval is tired, man. He coached 3 games today. He's not used to that. You're used to coaching 1 game, and now you're coaching 3 games in a day.
Brief thought on Big East Player of the Year. Over the last 4 weeks, Tyler Kolek has scored the ball at a terrific rate. He's got 3 performances of 20 or more. He's now up to 189 assists on the season. 189 assists on the season. However, I would give the full body of work to Sule Boom because it is a full body of work award. But if Kolek keeps this up over the last month, he's getting the Big East Player of the Year. His scoring over the last 3 weeks has been outstanding. I lean Boom today, but Kolek's on track here.
Hey, Fanta, real quick, give me your call. Pretend we're watching this game and Sule Boom just hit a game winner. Give me the call.
Oh, geez.
I know you've thought about it. With a name like Sule Boom, I know you've thought about what you would say if he had a buzzer beater.
I've got Xavier in a couple weeks too, so it's coming.
All right, give us a little test right here. By the way, that is such a flop. I hate those calls. I hate when the post guy just fall. I
pull the chair.
Yeah, I
like Rick Mahorn. Rick Mahorn was great at that back in the day.
Yeah, I know. Rick Mahorn was good at a lot of stuff, flopping and fighting people. Go ahead.
10 seconds to go. Xavier, even with Marquette. Kolek guarding Boom. Boom. Crossover. Step back. Bada bing. Bada boom. Everybody go home. Sule says, so long, Golden Eagles. And boom goes the dynamite in Cincinnati tonight.
Hold on. Kevin B in the chat. Fanta, please don't make the call. My fiance is listening. If she hears you make this call, she may leave me. Too late, Kevin B.
Please don't leave.
Fanta, she just took the ring off. Jesus.
Yeah. Sorry, Kevin.
Sorry, Kevin.
Valentine's Day is next week, so please don't leave. All right, what St. Mary's Gonzaga? I was immersed in that call. We have a tie game still.
Yeah, it's 59-59 St. Mary's ball. All right, let me ask you guys real quick before this game ends.
Yeah,
Justin Moore.
Yes.
I still don't think he's himself. Laval, you coached against this dude, right? You've now watched him for 3 games. How far away is he from being who he needs to be? And if we ever see the Justin Moore that we saw in March of last year before he popped the Achilles, what does that do to change this Villanova team? Because honestly, I don't know. If you have a healthy Justin Moore, I think that's the best starting 5 in the Big East. Is that crazy? That might be a hot take.
Yeah, that could be your hot take. I just know when he's not Justin Moore quite yet in terms of where he is when he's not still thinking about, the injury. I think he's doing great. You never know how a guy will come back from an ACL and an Achilles. They could win the Big East tournament if he gets to that comfort level. Like, there's no reason. They just went to Creighton and barely and almost pulled it out, and that's one of the hardest places to play in the Big East. And so he takes pressure off Caleb Daniels. Eric Dixon, Eric Dixon took a couple of the meaningful shots down the stretch. I think partially because Justin can't be Justin quite yet. But now that changes and that's a big if, right? Because you don't know if it'll even happen this year, if he'll just feel completely comfortable. Yeah, but if he does, they could win the Big East tournament and be dancing.
They're not far away, man. Like they lost, I think they lost by 8 at UConn, which was a close game. They lost by 2 at home to Marquette. They lost by 8.
They're 4-11 in single-digit games. 4-11.
they're not that far off. What they
No.
don't have is a guy in a big moment who can go get you one. And like that's kind of what Justin Moore can do for them.
And they don't have a point guard. And over the last decade, they've had not good point guard play, not great point guard play, like
Best in
the
America.
best, like the best point guard play in the country. You went from Ryan Arcidiacono to Jalen Brunson to Colin Gillespie.
But even John, like when Colin Gillespie went down with the injury a couple of years ago, Justin had to take over that role and like get him back to the tournament. And that I think helped him develop developmentally. So then last year he was even better because he had that experience.
It's going to be interesting to see here, Laval, because I do think Villanova's, if you got them in December or January on your Big East schedule, right now you are kicking your feet back and being like, I am so glad. I am so glad I don't have to deal with them.
Hey, I had the Villanova team with Brunson, Bridges, DiVincenzo, Spellman, Pascal. I'd love, not that I would love to coach against this Villanova team, but it's a different Villanova team than that one. My goodness.
Right. So it's going to be interesting to see here down the stretch how they play a spoiler role. And it will be very, very interesting to see what happens with their Big East tournament seeding. Like, where do they get seeded? What's the draw there? Because if you're the 1, 2, or 3, like Villanova's probably going to be a 7 or 8 seed in the Big East tournament. Man, we could go into that final Saturday where we're looking as much as where Villanova's going to be seeded, as much as we're looking at who wins the regular season championship.
Yeah, and after the top 4 teams in the league, you know, after you get Xavier, Marquette, Providence, Creighton, like, well, why wouldn't you put your money on Villanova to be, you know, seeded 5th?
What happened? What just
twisting
happened?
the knife. He's just twisting the knife on me.
I'm not saying they will. I'm saying
they're 4-8 in the conference, so I don't.
No, I'm just UConn.
I know, but I'm not
top
saying
4 teams in the league. Then you got Villanova.
Oh, beautiful!
You're just lumping UConn right in there with Seton Hall. Just
Gonzaga
right
goes
there.
up 2.
Yep.
Gonzaga goes up 2. Less than 30 seconds to go on my screen.
All right, real quick before this game ends, can I give you my little spiel on UConn? You guys know as much about the Big East as most as
they don't have it. They finished with UConn at home.
Well, you know what's funny about that? We were when we were planning trips for this season for what to do. One of the things I had planned was like we got to do a live show from UConn at Philly or UConn at Villanova because that's in Philly. That's a home game for me. Like that's probably going to decide who wins the Big East regular season title. And now it's like that might decide who ends up getting a bye into the Thursday day games of the Big East. No, like I'm kind of to the point where I think that UConn's entire season is going to be based off of whether or not you can get Andre Jackson's confidence back. Like that, to me, that's the only thing that matters at this point, right? You're not winning the Big East regular season title. You probably have a chance to win the Big East tournament. And if things go right, maybe you have a chance to make a run in March. None of that's going to happen if Andre Jackson is scared to shoot the basketball. You got to find a way to get his confidence back. You got Tristan Newton rolling now. He's cooking, right? We know what Jordan Hawkins can be when he gets going. Adama Sanogo's been better down the stretch. But if you can, if Andre Jackson allows you to play 4-on-5, UConn has no chance. You got to find a way to get him confident.
And Klingon. I mean, Donovan Klingon's been awfully quiet here as of late.
It's tough for the role that he plays. Oh, 5 seconds left. We got a tie game.
I'm behind.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Way to ruin it for the rest of us.
What's going on?
Way to ruin it for the rest of us, Rob.
Oh, beautiful dish inside. So now 5 seconds left. Don't ruin it, Rob. And
well, I already know what happens. I'm looking at the YouTube chat.
Yep.
Overtime.
Well, might as well keep it going.
Yep. No, Fanta, to answer you about Klingon, he's very good when it comes to just like kind of catching lobs and rolling to the basket and being a finisher, but he's not someone that you could throw the ball to on the block. He's not a great screener. And when Jackson's out there and nobody's guarding him, there's just no space. You're never going to be able to get a roll when the guy guarding Andre Jackson is literally standing in front of the basket. And so if Jackson's not a threat offensively, like it's never ever going to work. It's just not going to work. So you got to get him confident. That's the thing. I talked with a coach that played him earlier this season, and they tried to play this like we're not going to guard Andre Jackson kind of an offense, right? And he made 2 shots in the first 10 minutes of the game, and he was playing like he knew who he was, like he was an NBA player, played with that level of confidence where it was you had to respect him offensively. And right now in his mind, he's playing as if you don't have to respect him offensively. And if you're doing that, you can play 4-on-5. It's just going to ruin everything that they do because it blows up all of their actions, all of the screening stuff. They need Andre Jackson to play like he's the fucking guy if they want to have a chance to be able to make a run.
Yeah, the beginning of the Xavier game, and I've coached non-shooters, the guys that were shooting with a strength, and it gets in your head mentally.
That was bad.
No question. But that because the first Xavier game, he made them at Xavier, and it was like when they were rolling in the whole deal. But they're still really good. Tristan Newton playing like he's playing. That's what they needed. They needed another guy to be aggressive offensively.
Sometimes it's just like, for me, what stood out about them early in the year was just how physical they were. Yeah, they were a team that on top of how electrifying they could be offensively, they could come at you in waves. They were guarding the ball really well. I mean, they were really guarding. And they still do that here and there, but they do fall into some lapses at times. And I don't know, it feels like for Connecticut that along the lines of Jackson, what happens is offensively, the difference between him at the 3 and him at the 4 is very sharp. And they found something in the second half against Xavier by putting Andre Jackson at the 4 and having him start to go to the rim and using him.
Well, they kept Caravan. They flip-flopped him and Caravan.
Yeah, we talked about that, Laval. It's because it engages Andre Jackson's defender in the play. And I think we saw I didn't watch the Georgetown game as closely as I've watched the other games because there was like 4 other things going on. I was watching a lot of Kansas, Iowa State when that was on. But I only saw them run that set twice. That one where they have Tristan Newton coming off of the staggered, where Andre Jackson is the first screener. That they probably got like 7 or 8 buckets out of it in the second half against Xavier. I only saw them run it twice against Georgetown. And I don't know if that was just a design. You tell me what you think, Laval. It feels like these last 2 games at DePaul, at Georgetown, Danny was trying to get Andre going a little bit. Instead of just relying on the stuff that worked against Xavier, it looked like he was trying to get him going, which is a little bit frustrating because he's not adjusting to the things that have worked. But I also kind of get it, right? Because if you don't get Andre going, I don't know if you're never going to hit your ceiling. You could be good without him. You could be great if you get him back to being the guy that he was in November.
Yeah, I think they found some things though. Like I had their DePaul game after, and they had their bye week leading into that game. And I thought they found the flip-flop between the 2 wings, Andre and Caravan, in the back half of the Xavier game. The zone was good because if Andre goes to the 4 and you got a mismatch 4-man, you can just play the 1-3-1 and keep him in the game. Then in the DePaul game, they played Kling and Sonogo together and just went bully mode. Mm-hmm. And just tried to dominate the paint. And they hadn't done that for long. They did it for a longer stretch. I think Danny saying,
go ahead.
When you think long term, we want to be able to win different ways. So when you get to the tournament, can we match up or force people to try to match up with us? And Andre's gonna have to just let it fly with confidence, whether he's 3 or 4, doesn't matter. He's still on the court. And so you do want to get that back, without sacrificing things for the team. But I think they've established like some different ways to play so that Danny can, like I was saying about Kevin Wheeler, he does a really good job at that, finding different ways to play and then finding the one that's working that night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The one thing the
Jackson conundrum is the thing. Like, the thing about it is he does so many intangibles. He just does so many different things that you cannot teach, like the pass for the Caravan Dagger 3.
That was ridiculous. That was a ridiculous. Like I said that I don't know if there's 5 players in college basketball that could make the play that he made. Did you see that, Laval?
I didn't see it. I missed the end of the Georgetown game.
Yeah, I got the clip somewhere. I'll send it to you. But basically, what he did was he got an offensive rebound on the weak side of the floor. He had 4 guys around him and found a way to throw kind of like a hook pass. It was almost like a no look pass to the opposite wing to Caravan, who hit a dagger 3. And I don't know. 1, I don't know how many guys can make that pass, and 2, I don't know how many dudes would have the balls to be able to throw that pass in that moment with 20 seconds left. Right? I think it was 30 seconds left, 20 on the shot clock, up by 3. To throw a cross-court pass like that, no look over your shoulder, you got to have some stones to make that pass. The last point I'll make, and then we can get off of UConn, is that I understand why people are frustrated, why UConn fans are frustrated that Jackson hasn't been sent to the bench, but I think it's very important to know.
Those people are. I'm sorry, that's idiotic. Come on,
making a 3. Oh, Aiden Mahaney, man. No, look, UConn at their core, what Danny Hurley wants his teams to be are teams that are going to be aggressive defensively, force some turnovers, get some rebounds, make plays, kind of win with athleticism and toughness. And you can't do that if Andre Jackson is not on the floor, because they just don't have enough big athletes and really good defenders. Everybody else is kind of like a solid to like above average defender. Andre Jackson is a complete game changer in terms of what he could do offensively in transition and what he can do defensively.
My goodness.